Let's see how to use Unity UI to change an image when we click on it. Let's start by adding a canvas to our scene. And as a child to this canvas, I'll add an image. And let's make this image a little bigger. Now, in my assets folder, you can see two folders. One is resources. Inside this folder, I have all of the images that I want to show. And whenever I click on the image, I want the next image to be shown. I also have my scripts folder. And let's create here a new script, and I'll call it change image. Let's now choose our image. And we want this image to react to clicks. So let's scroll down a bit, and let's add a new component. And what we're looking for is the event trigger. So let's add it. And now that we have an event trigger, we can add a new event type. Specifically, we want the pointer click event. And this event will fire whenever we click on the image. And we got a list of the things that will happen whenever we click on the image. Currently, the list is empty, so let's add a new element. And here, we need to provide two things. First is the game object that will be affected. In our case, it's the image itself, so I'll drag the image over here. The other thing we need to provide is the function that will run whenever we click on the image. To have such a function, we have to first provide the script. So let's open our script editor and edit our change image script. So I'll go Assets and open C# project. And here is the change image script. First, we need to add a using for the Unity engine.ui namespace, and it will allow us to work with UI elements in our script. Next, I want to have a public list of sprites. This will allow us to provide the list of sprites to the script from the Unity editor. And if we save our script and get back to the Unity editor, we can attach the script to our image, and then in the script component we can see the sprite list, which is the list we just defined in the script itself. Currently the list is empty, but we can add two elements here and then provide the sprites from our resources folder. Let's now get back to our script. Next, I want a variable to hold the ID of the sprite that's currently being displayed. And let's initialize its value to 0. And it means that at the beginning we'll display the first sprite. Now, let's take another look at the Unity editor. And we can see that the source image, which is actually the sprite, is inside the image component. So let's hold the reference to this component so we'll be able to easily replace the sprite. And let's initialize its value to the image component. Notice that I didn't have to specify the game object, and that's because the script itself is attached to the image game object. Let's see it in the Unity editor. And here is the image game object, and as you can see, the script is attached to this game object. So if we don't specify the game object, we always mean the game object that the script is attached to. In this case, the image game object. We now need to write the function that will actually change the sprite in the image component. Whenever we call this function, we want to increase the ID of the sprite that's currently being displayed. And if we got to a value that's too big, we want to set the ID back to 0. And now that we have the updated sprite ID, we can set the sprite of the image component to this sprite. Let's get back to the Unity editor. And let's set the initial sprite to the first image. And now we can get back to our pointer click event. So I remind you that we already set the image game object as the object that will be affected when this event happens, and all that's left is defining which function, which code will run whenever this event happens. So let's click here, and since the change image script is attached to this game object, we can see it over here. And here, among the functions, we can find the function we wrote ourselves, which is change sprite. So that's the code that will run whenever we click on the image. Let's try running our game. And at the beginning we have this image, but when I click on it, it's replaced by the other image. And if I click on the image again, the first image reappears.